come in, sir?
Please.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
Naman, you are free to retain or remove your mask.
Okay, sir.
So right now, where are you coming from?
Sir, yesterday I came from Mumbai to Delhi. And I'm staying in Delhi for a week, sir.
You stay here for a week.
Yes.
You have been to Delhi before?
Yes, sir, I've been to Delhi, but not for more than 3 to 4 days.
So you are based in Bombay, Mumbai?
Sir, currently I'm residing in Mumbai, but I'm originally from Jaipur. I have done my schooling from Jaipur, sir.
Where in Mumbai are you?
Sir, I'm staying in Vileparle East in Mumbai.
Vileparle East or West?
Sir, East.
East.
Yes.
What's the population of Mumbai now?
Sir, the census 2011 states that population of Mumbai city is 1.2 crores. But if we consider the Mumbai metropolitan region and its surrounding suburbs, then it's around 2.5 crores. Sir.
So are we still in 2011 or are you giving me the figure for 2022?
Sir, for 2022, the estimated population is 1.5 to 1.6 crores for Mumbai city. Sir.
What is the COVID situation like there?
Sir, currently Mumbai, the number of COVID cases are low. It is around 50 to 60. It is hovering around 50 to 60 in Mumbai. And similarly, in the neighboring suburbs of Thane, Navi Mumbai, it is also low at less than 10. So the positivity rate is also much lower than 0.5% currently.
The newspapers have been telling us something about Hanuman and all that sort of thing. What's happening?
Sir, recently during Hanuman Jayanti, procession was attacked and violence.
By whom?
Sir, by people residing in Jahangirpuri. Sir, the procession was passing through.
No, I'm talking about Maharashtra.
In Maharashtra, sir. Okay. Sir, in Mumbai, in some of the regions, I believe in Ghatkopar or Chembur, there were instances of communal violence during Hanuman Jayanti.
Be more precise. What happened and why and what was the occasion?
Sir, I'm not completely aware about the.
But you are from Mumbai.
Yes, sir.
So don't you read the Marathi newspapers?
Sir, I do read Times of India Mumbai edition, but not.
And they didn't cover what's happening there?
Sir, I can't recall any specific news article which I read with respect to.
Pardon?
Sir, I can't recall any specific news article with respect to this happening in Mumbai, sir.
Was there a demonstration by an MP and an MLA couple?
Yes, sir.
What are their names?
Sir, the Rana couples, Navneet Rana is an MP from Amravati and her husband, sir, I can't recall the name of the husband, but they plan to recite Hanuman Chalisa in front of the CM's residence, the Matoshi in Mumbai, sir. And post that they were not allowed to go to that residence, and they were blocked by workers or party members of a prominent party there, and this resulted in their arrest under the case of sedition and disharmony in Mumbai, sir.
Was there an all-party meeting convened?
Sir, there was an all-party meeting, but as far as I know, CM did not attend the.
CM did not attend.
Yes, sir.
So who called the all-party meeting?
Sorry, sir, I'm not aware about this.
Okay. Now, what's the population of the world?
Sir, in 2012, it crossed 7 billion. Now it is nearing 8 billion in the next 3 to 4 years.
So how many crores is it?
It is around 800, less than 800 crores.
800 crores?
Yes.
Sure?
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask you a question about GDP. Imagine a country called XY.
Yes.
First year of COVID-19, the GDP of that country goes down by 10%.
Okay.
Second year it goes up by 10%.
Okay.
So at the end of the 2-year period, where is that continuous GDP?
Sir, if we do a little mathematics, if the initial GDP is let's say X, then the next year the GDP would be 0.9x, and the subsequent year the GDP would be 1.1 into 0.9x. So this will be 0.99 times X. So there will be 1% reduction in GDP as compared to pre-pandemic levels. Sir.
All right. What's the GDP growth rate in India now?
Sir, the last quarter figures are not out yet, but for the last fiscal year, it is estimated that it will be around 8.5 to 9% of GDP growth. In the upcoming year, it is estimated at around 7.5% by RBI and different bodies.
What's the rate of inflation?
Sir, in March, the consumer price inflation was at 6.95%, and similarly, WPI inflation was even higher at around 14.5%, sir.
Now, today's newspapers, please list 3 items which you found interesting.
Sir, I've read about the Raisina dialogue, which started yesterday, and the president of...
Who all spoke? At least name 2 people who spoke.
Sorry, who?
2 speakers.
2 speakers. Okay.
At least 2.
Sir, von der Leyen, who is...
Who?
Mrs. von der Leyen, she is the head of European Commission. She inaugurated the Raisina dialogue yesterday. And apart from that, sir, head of ORF, the Observer Research Foundation, he also was a speaker, a keynote speaker yesterday, sir.
Did the Prime Minister speak?
Sir, the Prime Minister did not speak at the
He did
Raisina.
not speak.
No, sir. But he attended the inaugural session.
You mean he attended and he didn't speak?
Yes, sir.
Please.
Naman.
Yes.
So this Rana couple, Navneet Rana and her MLA husband, they were wanting to recite Hanuman Chalisa in front of Uddhav Thakrae's house.
Yes.
I was just slapped with sedition. Understand the meaning of sedition?
Sir, sedition is defined under section 124A of the IPC, under which any person who tries to produce disaffection or incite disharmony.
It is 153A.
Okay. Sir, by action of spoken words or written language, if there is any threat to the government of the state or the union government, then the sedition charges can be implied on.
So in what way is reciting of Hanuman Chalisa a threat to the national security?
Sir, it was stated that there could be communal disharmony and enmity between different sections of the society, and this might result in violence in the state or the city. Because of this reason, the sedition charges were implied, but it would be the court's judgment to identify.
I'm asking your opinion. I'm not trying you to justify the actions taken by the Maharashtra government.
Yes. Sir, in my opinion, the sedition charges were not valid or should not have been implied on the couple. There are other provisions in the IPC which should have been implied, but sedition charges might not hold valid in this case.
You said COVID in Mumbai is only 50 cases per day now.
Yes, sir.
But yesterday's, I also read newspaper that the one-day COVID cases, okay, in Mumbai, in Maharashtra it is around 250.
Yes.
250. Mumbai it could be 40, 50. Yes, you are right. But COVID cases are rising.
Yes.
What can be the reason?
Sir, one of the probable reason is due to the non-usage of mask by people and other social distancing measures. There is laxity among public and the government as well.
What is why this suddenly started during the last week or so?
Yes.
The cases started rising. Why?
Yeah. Sir, there is also a possibility of a new subvariant of Omicron, which is BA.2.12, which could be behind the drive in surges of COVID cases in India, sir. But it needs to be validated by the agencies.
And not that during the last week, the usage of mask, etc., had suddenly been withdrawn. All
Yes.
restrictions were off.
Yes, sir.
And is that not the reason for the rise in COVID cases?
Yes, sir. It is. It could be one of the possible reasons. Some of the states like Maharashtra, Haryana, Delhi have withdrawn the mandate of using masks, and this might have resulted.
Where, in your opinion, cases are rising now? Which state has the maximum number of one-day cases?
Sir, it is the highest in Delhi right now. It has been over 1,000 for 4 consecutive days, followed by Haryana.
You said you were interested in following the civil aviation industry.
Yes, sir.
Recently, Dornier 22 was in the news. Why?
Sir, Dornier 22. Sorry, sir, I have not read about this. I'm not aware. I'll read more on this.
It was mentioned that it is the Indian indigenous
yes.
aircraft.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is the first indigenous aircraft, and it took off from, sir, if I'm right, Assam, and it will be starting passenger operations now.
But don't you think India, a country of 140 crore people, so much of industrial base, when Airbus is manufacturing aircrafts to seat 500 plus persons, we are producing aircraft, and that too a copied technology. Dornier is not Indian.
Yes, sir.
To seat how many? 19 people or 20 people?
Yes, sir. Less than 20 people.
Less than 20.
Yes, yes.
So, why aren't we able to produce bigger civilian aircrafts?
Sir, aircraft manufacturing is a highly technical intensive work, and only 2 major companies in the world, which are Airbus and Boeing, are operating at large scale. Some of the smaller companies in China and Russia are also doing, but due to lack of the technology and the skilled manpower, plus very high capital cost of establishing the industry, this is the reason why India is still not able to manufacture some of the planes. But sir, HAL is researching in this, and hopefully we'll start manufacturing some of the larger planes as well.
Last question. You are a chemical engineer.
Yes.
What really happens in global warming? What do the GHG, greenhouse gases, actually do? What is the chemistry behind it?
Sir, the greenhouse gases such as CO2, methane, even water vapor, whenever there is a radiation, which, especially a long-term radiation, which impacts the
Especially?
Sir, the long-term radiation which reflects from the Earth's surface, when it strikes these molecules gets agitated, and because of this agitation, they absorb some of the heat in the form of kinetic energy into these molecules. So this heat, it gets trapped into the atmosphere, and this results in overall increase of the temperature in the atmosphere, sir.
Not the answer one would expect from a chemical engineer.
Okay, sir.
Infrared.
Yes, sir.
Infrared part of the solar radiation carries the heat energy.
Yes, sir.
Heat energy is absorbed most in the greenhouse gases.
Yes, sir.
They absorb, they trap, they throw it back to the earth.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
So, Naman, I find that you have such a good academic record.
Thank you, sir.
Why you should not pursue chemical engineering for a career?
Sir, I found a lot of interest while studying chemical engineering, and my pursuit was to do as much hard work and do academically well during my college. But sir, I realized that rather than doing research or any industrial job in chemical engineering, I'll be more satisfied towards working in civil services because of the benefits that civil services offer, such as high diversity of work, immense job responsibility in the early age as well, and my desire to work for the people, for the society.
Did you appear for campus interview?
Sir, I did not appear. I got a pre-placement offer through an internship.
You didn't join?
No, sir, I did not join.
So, chemical engineering, can you tell me how, from crude oil,
Yes.
how petrol and diesel they are produced?
Sir, the production of petroleum products from crude oil is known as is by the process of fractional distillation, and the process starts with the atmospheric distillation and the vacuum distillation unit, in which the crude oil is passed into a long distillation column, in which at different temperatures, different components of petroleum are separated. At the top, natural gas is...
Why they get separated?
Sir, since every molecule has a different molecular weight, and because of different molecular weight, there are different boiling point of each of these molecules. So based on difference in boiling point, they get vaporized at different temperatures, and then get separated at different...
Which one gets separated first?
Sir, natural gas has methane and ethane as its components, so it is the first one to separate. Then petrol has butane to octane and decane, so they have C4 to C10 molecules, which is the next one to separate.
What is the chemical composition of crude oil itself?
Sir, crude oil is a mixture of many hydrocarbons, and it composes of C1, which is one carbon molecule, to up to 1,000 carbon molecules. Some of these are cyclic compounds, linear compounds, double chain, single chain compounds as well, sir.
You are familiar with octane number?
Yes, sir.
What is that? What is that?
Sir, octane number signifies the property of knocking in the engine of an automobile. Sir, a product with higher octane number flammates well, and the complete combustion takes place. So knocking property reduces, and the octane number is due to is 100, which is the reference period for isooctane isomer of petroleum, sir.
And what is the chemical composition of petrol?
Sir, again, petrol has large number of carbon variability in molecules. It starts from C4, which is butane, and ends somewhere at C10, C12. The highest proportion is of, sir, butane, pentane,
Tell us something about fuel cell. You're familiar with fuel cell?
Yes, sir. Sir, fuel cell is a electrochemical, we can say electricity generating machine, in which water is electrolyzed into hydrogen and oxygen, and this hydrolysis of water into hydrogen and oxygen is then further used in combustion of hydrogen to generate energy, sir. So this is the fuel cell. But apart from this, fuel cell is also used in NaCl or brine solution, where electricity is passed through and different chemicals are manufactured, like sodium, chlorine, etc.
So any reason why fuel cells have not become popular so far?
Sir,
They are very clean energy.
yes, sir. Sir, fuel cell are highly electricity intensive, and the electricity consumption of fuel cell is very high, so it does not make the process competitive and economically feasible. Sir, apart from this, the cathode and anode, they also get degraded very easily in fuel cell, and it requires continuous maintenance. So the cost of operation is also very high in this case.
Okay, let's talk about renewable energy. Can you give a very rough breakup of what is the extent of thermal energy and hydro energy, renewable energy in India? Just a breakup.
Yes, sir. Sir, with respect to renewable energy, out of the total around 400 gigawatts of installed capacity in India, around 50 gigawatts is from solar energy, 40 gigawatts is from wind energy. Similarly, 40 to 50 gigawatts is from hydel energy, and some little 5 gigawatt is from biomass as well. The remaining 240 gigawatts comes from coal-based and oil-based thermal power plants. Sir.
So, just a hypothetical question. I mean, roughly what you said, 50% will be thermal energy and other things.
Yes, sir.
So, I'm just asking a hypothetical question. Why can't we have 80% or 90% renewable energy?
Sir, there are a few challenges if we scale up the renewable energy. One of the challenges is with respect to reliability and consistent uniformity in electricity supply. Solar energy, we can't produce solar energy during night time, and during monsoon also its production reduces. Similarly, wind energy is also limited to some of the
We
coastal.
can have a combination. We can have wind energy there.
Yes, definitely, sir. The combination of wind and solar energy, such as in mega solar wind parks, which is envisioned, is a good measure in this. And sir, the Prime Minister's Panchamrit also states that by 2030 we would have 500 gigawatts of renewable energy. So we are moving in the direction of energy independence and reliability on renewable energy in the next coming.
Okay, one question on geography also.
Yes.
Tell us something about Coriolis Force.
Sir, Coriolis Force is a force which is exerted due to the rotation of the Earth. The Earth rotates, and which due to the rotational forces, the winds also tend to move in the direction which is given by the right hand side in the northern hemisphere and the left hand side in the southern hemisphere. So this particular diversion of the movement of winds due to the Earth's movement is called.
Again, a hypothetical question: if the Earth's rotation was reduced to half,
Yes.
then how is it going to impact Coriolis Force?
Sir, I'm not aware about the exact formulas which govern Coriolis Force, but if the rotation is reduced, the magnitude of force would also reduce in the poles, while at the equators it is already zero, so it won't change. At equator, the Coriolis forces.
Coriolis Force is it maximum at poles or equator?
So it is maximum at poles.
Poles.
Yes.
So if the rotation speed changes, then you are saying that there will be no impact on the equator.
Because it is zero at equator, sir.
And what about the revolution part? In the Earth's revolution around the sun,
Yes.
that also suppose that the speed changes to half. How does it impact?
Sir, it won't have any impact on the. If there is no change on the rotation, it won't have any impact on the revolution on the Coriolis force.
One more question. And if the rotation is reverse, how does it impact the Coriolis force?
So the magnitude of force would remain the same, but the vector direction as we call will reverse in this case from right hand side in the northern hemisphere to left hand side. Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Naman.
Yes, sir.
So it seems you are interested in following contemporary events in the civil aviation industry.
Yes.
What kind of events you track?
Sir, recently we have seen that Air India disinvestment is a.
That is one specific event.
Yes.
Similarly, commercials.
Yeah, mostly passenger-based domestic and international civil aviation events, such as even COVID-related changes, newer flights coming up, or newer airlines, airports, which are being introduced in India, sir.
So what kind of economic impact COVID has, generated on civil aviation industry in India?
Sir, COVID-19 has significantly reduced the passenger flow in the civil aviation industry.
When you say significant, what's the figure, the statistics do you have?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, according to the Ministry of Civil Aviation, in the financial year 2020-21, 85% reduction in the foreign tourist arrival was there, and similarly 55% reduction in the passenger flow in domestic sector in the aviation sector was witnessed.
Mm-hmm.
So the number of flights which flew in the last winter schedule of the domestic airline was also reduced by half by the Ministry of Civil Aviation.
Okay. Civil aviation sector in India,
Yes.
before COVID,
Yes.
despite unprecedented growth in passengers,
Yes.
even then, most of the air service providers, airlines were running in losses.
Yes.
What reasons you see that even before COVID, they were running in losses, and now, their loss in their books is so high that we don't know how they are going to recover from those losses.
Yes. Sir, this particular question, we can divide the aircraft carriers into two parts, the low-cost carrier and the full-service carrier. Sir, the full-service carriers comprises airlines such as Air India, Jet Airways, Vistara. Sir, they have very high cost of serving passengers because of their cost of providing food, accommodation, high-end services, which reduces their total profits. Sir, the competitiveness is very high because of the presence of low-cost carriers, which have hairline
So are low-cost carriers in profit?
Sir, the low-cost carriers were not in profit for the last 2 years, but before that, Indigo, SpiceJet.
Indigo was in profit.
Yes.
Oh, but the SpiceJet was not in profit as such.
Yes, sir.
Some year there were break-even.
Yes.
Okay.
Sir, the major reason is that the high cost of aviation turbine fuel. The aviation turbine fuel comprises 40% of the total cost for these low-cost carriers as well. And the aviation turbine fuel is highest among all the countries in the world. There is significant excise which is implied on the ATF, and the current prices are around 115 rupees per liter.
So why means ATF prices are so high in India compared with other countries in the world, and our airlines are not even allowed to get refueled at international destination, and if they get refueled, then they have to give the difference to India and oil companies in India.
Yes, sir. So the major reason why ATF prices are so high is because of the taxes. The central and the state government has large taxation on ATF, similar to petrol and diesel. Recently, we have seen several states have reduced their VAT to zero, but some states like Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh still have very high VAT. Similarly, central government also has a very high.
Have they reduced VAT on ATF, or they have reduced VAT on petrol and diesel?
Sir, they have reduced VAT on both. ATF, some of these states have reduced to 1 to 2%, while on petrol and diesel there is still significant VAT.
Okay, so let us suppose you become aviation secretary, civil aviation secretary.
Yes.
And you know that airlines in India are running in losses, even low-cost airlines with the exception of Indigo, they are running. By the way, can you just tell me what is there in Indigo that it's running in profit and others were not running in profit, with the exception of these 2 COVID years?
Sir, Indigo's business model is a particular case in point. It is derived from some of the world's best low-cost carriers such as Southwest Airlines of USA.
What is the uniqueness in their model, which was making them profitable even when they were doing business in such a stressed sector?
Sir, there are, I would say, 4 reasons why Indigo still making profits.
Which are those? Tell me.
Sir, number 1 would be high passenger load factor. Sir, Indigo and SpiceJet combined have the highest passenger load factor, and their number of unoccupied seats is the minimum. So number 2 would be very low turnaround time. The aircraft stands in the airport only for 30 to 40 minutes. While if we compare Jet Airways or Air India, it stood for around 1 hour. So it reduces the overall operations of the aircraft. So number 3 would be Indigo has dependent on point-to-point service, unlike Air India, which has hub models. Indigo provides service from small cities to small cities, and it has large opportunities, especially after Udan scheme. And sir,
do you think Indigo has been the beneficiary of route regulation? Part of, because they entered late.
Yes.
Then they were, even in the name of route regulation, they were forced to fly in such route which was otherwise profitable.
Sir, Indigo has not been much benefited because of route regulation, but with time, initially it was flying on some of the routes which were not very profitable, but now it has occupied 52% of market share, and it is flying on almost all the routes.
Who was the CEO of Indigo, who recently left Indigo, and now they are planning for a new airlines, of their own with some businessman?
Sir, Rakesh Kangwal and Rahul Bhatia were the CEO, but sir, I can't recall
Are they the CEO or they are the promoters?
Sorry, sir, I
Have
can't.
you heard of Akasa?
Yes, sir. By Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, he would be introducing a new airline in India very soon, sir.
Okay, so who is joining?
Sorry, sir, I can't recall the name.
Okay, no issues. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.